Welcome to Conversations About Creating Change. I'm your host, Terry Yoffe of Try Coaching. Here's a thought from today's guest, Andy Mai.
Just like how the millennials would say that the Gen Zs are lazy, I believe the baby boomers would say the millennials were lazy. Pre-war would say the baby boomers. So I think it's that trend, but I also think that time is changing and times are getting easier. And as a result, each generation does have it less hard.
Andy Mai, a 24-year-old Gen Zer, started from nothing and built a seven-figure business by age 23. Andy, an e-commerce, drop shipping, and advertising expert, talks to us about how he is creating change by sharing his expertise with others who want to have more free time, own their own business, be passionate about something, to build six-figure online e-commerce businesses from scratch. At least 100 of the many people he has taught have been able to implement his teachings and have created the changes they want within their own lives. Wouldn't we all like to create change in our lives? These compelling and extraordinary conversations can offer you thoughts on how you can make better life choices. Welcome, Andy. How are you today? And Andy hails from Sydney, Australia, and he has been kind enough to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning to work and be on this podcast. Thank you, Andy. It is so good to see you.
Thank you, Terry. I know it's late over there, so I really appreciate you accommodating and making it work. 6 p.m. is, I don't work around 6, so I appreciate you sort of making this work for both of us.
So, Andy, tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are. And by the way, Andy is also a Gen Zer.
I'll probably push through the story as quick as possible, and then if there's sort of little parts that you want to dig into, we can expand on. I'm currently 24. I think the first probably big decision I made was probably applying for my first job at McDonald's when I was 14. Then around 16, I started buying and selling clothing. And then by 18, I started creating an online e-commerce dropshipping store. By 2019, I sort of moved to America and I worked in a startup for a year. Around 20 to 21, I really went head deep into consulting, training, teaching others what I was able to do with my own online business. When I was 18, I think we maybe did $500,000 in revenue at that time when I was 18 years old. So I was now teaching other people how to do the same. And over the last 2 years, I've been sort of transitioning and focusing on my education platform, studying.com, which is a platform where you can host your own courses. I eventually want to sort of teach other topics. I want instructors to come on and host their courses. We created a sort of platform where it's sort of gamified the experience for students, where they can earn sort of points as they're watching videos, and then they can sort of use those points to either unlock more modules or book in calls with the coaches. So all these different ideas that I wanted that didn't exist in ClickFunnels, Kajabi, Coursera, I was like, maybe I should build my own platform. And that's sort of how studying.com came to be.
Wow. Ambitious young man. So tell us a little bit about studying.com and what that's all about.
So the main catalyst for studying.com was that previously as a coach and sort of selling courses and having my own program, I initially hosted my digital course on ClickFunnels, Kajabi, and these platforms. It didn't have the features that I wanted. It didn't have the ability for my students to unlock modules for free through referring other students. So I couldn't get that flywheel effect to kick in. I couldn't set up in a way where students that wanted to book in one-on-one time with me had to watch a certain amount of videos or had to sort of earn points where they could then trade that, if they actually put in work to study, then they could book in a one-on-one call with me. So I couldn't set up these sort of custom features that would have made it easier for me as a coach and easier for the student as a student. Hence, I created studying.com, where I have my own developers that work full time. And we've sort of slowly built out these features that I mentioned. It was basically a problem that I had, and I was just trying to solve my own problem initially.
And it seems you did.
Starting to get there bit by bit.
So studying.com is a platform where you allow people to learn and to put into progress what you created.
Right now, the only course on studying.com is my own course, and it's my own sort of dropshipping e-commerce program, which I've been teaching over the last 5 to 6 years. But I've sort of set it up in a way where the long-term vision of studying.com is have teachers and coaches of different topics come in and host their course in studying.com, maybe because they face the same issues and problems that I initially faced, and they're also looking for a solution. So right now, studying.com has just been the solution to my own problems, and I wanted to make it easier for me to be a coach and as well as give my students a better experience. But right now it is just focused on e-commerce, building an online business. Only my own course is hosted on studying.com as of 2023.
So tell us a little bit about the courses you give and how you, as a young 24-year-old, are creating change for these people that are tapping into your course. What does it provide to them?
Got it. So my target audience, my target customers are people that are in their mid to late 20s up to sort of early 40s. These are people that, they have more time, they are younger, they're sort of currently working a job that they're not too passionate about. They've seen all these people build online businesses and all these entrepreneurs, and that's something they've always wanted. They've attempted to try and build their own online business and probably most likely failed. And they're looking for assistance to bridge that gap and help them get to their goal. So what I provide is, one-on-one coaching. We have a proven process where if you put in the time and work over 12 months, like we've worked with 700, 800 students, and everyone that I've worked one-on-one with that jumped on a weekly call with me, and they sort of took on all that advice and completed all the homework that I would provide them at the end of each weekly call. Within 12 months, by the end of the 12 months, if not early, they would have made their first 6 figures. So that's sort of the program that I provided. In doing so, now those people are able to quit their jobs, work on their own business, something that they're passionate about. I've taught them all the knowledge, so I've taught them how to fish so they can go off and continue this business on their own. And now they have more time to spend with family, friends. Now they're doing something they're actually passionate about. Now there's sort of the opportunity for growth. And then they sort of go off on a completely different trajectory.
So is this course, are you offering it for free, or are they paying you to take this course?
So the course I mentioned, that 12-month program where I jump on a weekly call with every single, with the student, that's a paid program. And then we have a lot of free content on my YouTube, as well as if you join studying.com, there's a lot of free courses. And I've also set it up in a way where the free students, if you've sort of put in the hard work, you've watched all my free courses, you can earn enough points to either start unlocking the paid courses for free or use those points to even book one-on-one time with me. So even if you financially poor or like you don't have the financial resources, but you're time rich, if you put in the work, show me that you're dedicated, I'm more than happy to sort of reciprocate that and give you my time to help you out.
So I understand when we talk about 20s, 30s, but when somebody gets to their 40s, they've already worked in the workplace, right, for maybe 15, 20 years. And how many do you think, and I don't even know if you can answer this, will say, okay, and I'm sure there are plenty, I'm tired of what I do. Let me figure something else out. How do these people find you? Are your people you work with only in Australia? Are they global and reaching out to you? A 24-year-old Gen Zer.
No, that's a great question. The case study that comes to mind is I worked with this gentleman named Murray Shah. He's from Australia, but he's on the other side of Australia. He's in Perth and I'm in Sydney. And he's in his early 60s. He's worked around the world within the oil rigging industry where he'll be working in a lot of offshore sort of company locations. And he just as he said, he's been through 40 years of the corporate, the working, a 9-to-5 job. And he was looking to retire, move back home, spend more time with family and friends. And that was a catalyst for him to go on YouTube and search, how do I start an online business? Okay, how do I start an e-commerce business? Oh, how do I start drop shipping? And as he started searching these things, he came across Andy Mai on YouTube, me. And he subscribed and he watched my videos daily. And then after a year, maybe 6 months of watching videos with me, he was like, hey, I'd like to work with Andy. I've tried to do this on my own. I'm struggling to figure it out. Let's reach out to Andy and see if he could help me out. So that's the usual journey. And our customers are worldwide.
So someone that wants to do e-commerce, have their own business, create their own experience, what businesses do most people go into?
So the main business that we help people get into when they come from a place with zero experience is e-commerce. So we teach them a business model specifically called drop shipping. Drop shipping is a business model where you look for an existing product, say, for example, this pen, and you market this pen on Facebook ads or social media. Now, let's say this pen costs $5. When you go ahead and market this pen, you market it for $25 and you put it on your own website and you sort of sell this pen for $25. Now, only when someone purchases it for $25, you go to your supplier and you pay them $5 and you ask them to ship it directly to the customer. And then you make that $20 split. So drop shipping is a business model where there's very little upfront capital investment because you're only sort of spending money on goods upon making the sale.
How many people have been successful in what you've trained them, taught them?
So we've worked with around 800 students over the last 5 years. We have nearly 50 video testimonials from people all around the world. So those are the ones that I like to count as success stories, people who've gone out of their way, filmed a video to express their sort of gratitude and appreciation, and just they wanted to share their story. And those are probably the students I'm still in contact with and the most closest with. Now, the remaining 750, whether they've gotten success, but they didn't reach out to me, or they've gotten success and they didn't put together a testimonial, or maybe some of them gone back to their 9 to 5, or some of them found out that this wasn't what they wanted, or even, some of them have given up and was like, maybe this is not for me. So I'd probably count the 50 video testimonials as like success stories of people that we've been able to help change their lives.
How does a young 24-year-old, where we hear all about, people in their 20s, kind of fumfering, not knowing where they want to go, not sure, it takes 10 years for them to kind of figure out, and I'm just generalizing. Here you are, a young man that has gone out and at a young age created a business and now passing it along. Do you think that you are part of this generation and what they're doing? Or do you think you are kind of a separate individual that has stepped out of the flow of this young generation?
Great question. I think I might have a biased view because being in the space, I've surrounded myself with amazing Gen Zers, people who are more successful than me, kids that are younger than me that are more successful than me. I'm just surrounded by it, and it sort of intimidates me. I'm like, wow, this kid is 18 years old. He has this crazy Ferrari and he's doing $500,000 a month with his e-commerce business. And I'm like, wow, that is he's far surpassed me. So I'm just surrounded by people that are crushing it in business, entrepreneurship, that are my age, younger. But I think if I were to take a step back and take a look at, say, my friends that I grew up in high school with, friends that I grew up in university, but then again, sort of before I dropped out university, I was studying actuarial science. It was like a mathematical sort of degree. So it sort of pulled together a lot of educated sort of people in my generation. So if I'm looking at those people, they're all crushing it in the corporate space. If I look at my high school, I think I was very lucky. It was like a good high school. It was maybe rank 100 in the state. So it was average. It was a bit above average, but we just had a very strong cohort where everyone was just very competitive within the last year of high school. And if I look back, a lot of my peers are either, doctors, or they're in the sort of health and science space, and accountants. So it does seem like my peers and people in my generation, a lot of them do seem driven, hardworking, wanting more. Maybe I'm just been in this lucky bubble my whole life, and I haven't been able to step 2-3 steps back to see the whole bigger picture. So I don't know if I can really answer that question, because I don't have that big sample set. I'm just surrounded by people that are driven, and maybe Gen Zs are driven.
It's so amazing. And as you know, my guest before you was Brielle Wohlenhaus, and she also spoke so brilliantly with so much wisdom that I had to sit back and say, she's 23 years old. And, I feel the same way in our conversation, listening to you talk about e-commerce, which I don't know that much about, as you probably could tell, and listening to what you've created and trying to create change with how people live their lives, primarily by offering them other ways to show up, other ways to live their life, is so fascinating, really, and so remarkable, that what I wonder is, if there's so many of you doing really good work, creating change, having a voice for your generation, and I don't even know if you can answer it, Why do you think Gen Zers get a bad rap?
Firstly, I want to, thank you, Terry. You've sort of made me feel comfortable. You've really pushed me to also, slow down and try to figure out how to explain what I do in a way that would make sense for everyone. So I really appreciate this sort of podcast. But to answer your question, why do Gen Zers get a bad rep? Okay, I think my gut feeling instantly goes to the previous generation have so much grit and strength. Like when I look at my mum and dad, my mum had to escape Vietnam on a boat, stranded at sea, 7 days in. There's only dry sort of food and there's not enough water to go around. So every day you're given, a bottle lid cup. That's how much water you're given each day. And just from sheer luck, a Indonesian sort of ship came by and picked up the mini raft she was in. And then she had to stay in a refugee camp in Indonesia for 2 years, come to Australia with no English at all, try to figure out school. And she dropped out of school at, I think, in year 5 because she had to help my grandmother sort of make money. And I think as a female, it was more known to not need education and go straight into the markets. And then coming into Australia without any English, without any knowledge, trying to study, do high school, get into university, trek around, figure out how to go to university with no English, talking to the bus man and just pointing at, the place she needs to go and going to the wrong location or staying on the bus to the very last stop. It's like, wow, like my mum and dad went through so much. Then, when my parents split up, my mum had to work 2 jobs to raise me and my sisters. And like, she's been through so much and has gone through so much grit and has never complained. Yet there's people like me who I'm working at home. I am working on my laptop. I'm making money online. And I'm complaining about a down period, or I'm complaining about how, today I don't feel motivated. Today I feel sad. We're talking about depression and this and that. Those are, talking about the ups and downs. And then I look at my mum, she's gone through so much worse and she's never complained. So I think that might be why Gen Z gets a bad rep. But then I also believe that the previous generation, just like how the millennials would say that the Gen Zs are lazy, I believe the baby boomers would say the millennials were lazy. Pre-war would say the baby boomers. So I think it's that trend, but I also think that time is changing and times are getting easier. And as a result, each generation does have it less hard.
It's encouraging to hear what you've done, to hear how Brielle is a voice for her generation here. And, her work on LinkedIn, and you're on LinkedIn too. It's really refreshing and hopeful that there are many, many Gen Zers that are doing good. And it's not just about being and occupying space, but it's about what are you doing with a voice, with creating change. And that's remarkable. So what's one takeaway that you would like to offer to our listeners as how they could create change, how they can develop and become young people that can go out and create change and make a difference and make an impact?
If I were to speak to the young individual that's listening to this, I think my advice would be try to do as many different things as possible, as uncomfortable that may be, in order to find what you are passionate about and something that you love. Because when you find something that you're passionate about and that you love, you'll be able to just sprint and run every single day at this passion and create such beautiful impact in the world.
Andy, I can't thank you enough for making my day with what you're offering and what you're doing, and even surrounding yourself. And that's another thing. Surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that are pushing you, and you're pushing them to be the best version of themselves. I think that is very important as well. Andy, thank you so much. You now can start your day or go back to bed, whichever suits you. It's been my pleasure. So nice having you.
Thank you very much for having me, Terry. I really appreciate it. You've asked great questions. You are an amazing listener. You've really created a podcast where you've tried to highlight the guests. You did a great amount of preparation. You've set it up in a beautiful, organized way. So I can't thank you enough.
That comes because I'm OCD. Thank you, Andy. What are you doing to create change in your corner of the world? Thank you for joining the conversation. For related content on extraordinary work, visit my website, trycoaching.com. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another conversation. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and be sure to subscribe to future podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Always remember, when you work with passion and purpose, your work can become extraordinary. Sean French, host of the Determined Society podcast, has a genuine passion for helping others succeed by motivating individuals to embrace their determination, overcome challenges, and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. You won't want to miss this insightful conversation with Sean.